just a moment so I can show her a little bit about that operation, and then I'm going to do like 1 or 2 round robins to see what's going on with your devices, and then I'll pull us back here to give us all the answers. Do we have any other numbers I need to worry about, by the way? So that 3.7 was the last one?
Yeah, that's most of them.
Okay. All right. Everybody spread out. Tana, you're with me for just a moment. Get to work, everybody. You guys get something else signed up for, right?
Yeah.
What year is the mansion in?
Who's with us tonight? What year did the mansion come down?
Michael?
Yeah, it said Michael. Here, move so they can get out.
Who lived in the mansion? Eliza. You know that? I said who lived in the mansion. I said Eliza. That's tricky.
What happened to the mansion?
Who lived in the mansion?
What happened to the mansion? Come over here. Back where the actual house was.
What was in the garden?
What happened to the mansion? Husband.
All I heard was Eliza and Michael.
What year did you die? 20. What year did you die? not good at listening to it. What? What? Huh? I know that's how they give you the words. They pick the words on the songs to give their answers. That's how they manipulate it. That was other people. Yeah, it was. It's the trees. You can turn it down. How did you die?
Heard that voice already.
Alright. What do we got? Anything?
I heard, we actually lived in the house. I heard Eliza. And then
Okay.
I heard Michael. And then 20 like twice.
Yeah, it's said 20 a couple times.
20 is somewhat relevant. But I do like the fact that you heard Eliza, and then you heard her
That
own
was
name.
like really clear.
Yeah, Michael was really clear.
Okay. So again, you're already getting the gist of how to listen to it, which is super awesome. So I gotta make note that those came out of yours because that one is the most accurate. So you'll even see that in your notes when I give them back to you. It'll say SB11 next to it, so that way we all know that it came from this type of spirit box because again, more accurate than the others.
Okay.
Somebody here was a smoker as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll just ask at this location, out of respect for Eliza, she's gonna be very prude. So no smoking while we're here.
Okay.
And then I think there's both of them smoke out of the two young ladies as well. So
I vape, but
yeah, I vape heavily in between spaces. I just try to make sure I'm discreet about it, like in between, just because I'm my guest, especially when I have younger folks here.
Right.
So again, just try to trail behind the young lady.
Okay.
That's the point. So again, I don't know if that's going to be something. I'm not assuming anything. I'm just trying to be respectful.
Right,
I got
right.
you, yeah.
But yeah, I think that about covers it. And then the last place we go to is a non-smoking park. So
Okay.
just a heads up. Anything major or crazy on the camera?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Again, I've had that thing about a year.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 or 6 pieces where I'm like, hell yeah, like interaction. Raise your left foot, we got that left foot raised. Raise your right hand, we had that hand raised. Move to your left, we get them to dance around a little bit. Other pieces I've had were like, okay, like definitely weird, but I've had probably about 2 dozen of those. It's suspicious, but it's not stamp of approval suspicious.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So just kind of keep that in mind when you're using that. Any particular reason why you wanted to use that one specifically?
No.
Okay. Usually if somebody, I was getting a lot of requests for it.
I've seen it a lot online, and I just thought it was cool.
Now, I will tell you, this is obviously an app you're going to be able to go home and download. Most people will recognize the SLS that comes out of the large camera, right? It's the Xbox 360 and the tablet and the whole big rig up. That thing weighs like 20 pounds. We're using Apple's LYDIA technology, which does the exact same thing that the Xbox 360 camera does, and somebody created an app to be able to use it for ghost hunting. So again, I want you to like downgrade like what we're using here. I did a lot of research and talked to the developers before I even made the decision to like bring this into my route, just because I was getting so many requests for it. I'm like, man, that thing weighs a ton.
Yeah.
So like that thing is huge too. Like it's not gonna fit in my bag. Like
Right.
I'd have to carry a case with it. And again, I'm not gonna do that if I had just 2 people.
Yeah.
Like I would probably like, hey, do you want to use the SLS? Like I would have to do those kind of things. But again, you see kind of like how I do the introduction. That way everybody gets something a little bit different. At least give you guys the opportunity to ask if there's something specific that you want to use. Like Lila wanted to use an EMF reader. I'm like, oh no, girl, this is what you wanted to do. Like we're gonna get you something a little bit more intense, like a spirit box.
Yeah.
So it looks like she's got something. Come on over, tell us what you got. I know you. We're in her backyard right now, so she's almost like, come on in. Again, she's a pretty welcoming person. So you heard it twice. Anything else specific that you heard? You'll get the gist of this, and you'll get better at it.
She heard treadmill too.
Treadmill?
Yeah. It sounds like an ad.
Still something weird. So it might be relevant to somebody else. You don't know that this Sophie young lady sells treadmills for a living, and they brought their great-great-grandma.
Who lived here?
And you're kind of like, why I write down all of the weird, funny terms. All right, so then I want to see that here. Any letters? Any words you spell out?
Oh shit. Look.
What the fuck?
I don't know if it's the tree. Raise your right arm.
Yeah, it's probably the tree. That's the tree.
I don't know. It kept raising whatever that is.
Looks like it's dancing.
Yeah. Raise your right arm.
Please.
See?
Oh shit. Did go up a little bit.
It's that one.
I don't know, but the tree's right there too.
Can you move closer? Yeah, I think it's the tree. Yeah, must be the tree. But nothing's moving, so why is it moving?
Huh?
But the tree's not moving.
Let's ask him.
Huh?
So let's ask him. Because they're moving the camera.
And the two of you, what's the relationship here? I didn't ask you guys yet.
Oh,
Oh, this is my girlfriend.
yeah. We have a son.
Okay.
Is this a tree? Is that the tree?
If it is like something like a tree or still object,
you
would
have-
it move still?
That way.
So when you have anything in layers like that, and there's a lot of foliage there, it's a 99% chance that it's the foliage that it's picking up,
Okay.
even though it's off in the darkness. So I would want more something like on the ground that looks like that. It's
Right.
almost better to keep somebody in view so you have a height reference.
Uh-huh.
Because again, some people like will get the whole building of the church and it looks like a giant person.
Right.
And I'm like, no, the ghost is not going to be stretched
10
out
feet
70
tall,
feet
yeah.
in the air. That's if you want to try to keep a person in view, because sometimes you can even see a different figure that's following them.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying to follow everybody
I've
around.
caught a lot like where if we're standing here and I have the camera on you, there's another figure here that's not in the position that you're standing. They're faced that way and their arms are going something in a different direction. That to me is questionable because again, who did you bring with you?
Right.
So again, sometimes if you move it too quick, it'll pick up almost like the shadow that kind of moves. Oh, by the way, speaking of shadows, it will pick up on shadows on the ground. It is not two people on the wall, it's me and you.
Okay.
Okay, so, or I usually laugh that it's not a person on the ground, it's you.
Right.
Only because the shadow is an absence of light, so it makes it look like the shadow's in front of the ground. So
Gotcha.
kind of keep that in mind. A lot of science goes into this guy's mess, versus your guys' little flashlight test you played last night. Sorry, I don't want to keep making fun of them, but they're really my only competitor. I have every right to do
Yeah, it was underwhelming.
that. Underwhelming.
Underwhelming.
Interesting. All right, I say we gather everybody up just to kind of show everybody how everything's working.
Sounds good.
All right, everybody, let's gather this one up. Let's kind of show you how this all pieces together. You guys can tell me what else you have. Danny, did you get any of the numbers give your hands a break if you'd like. So, he's like, I just got stamped. So she did go all the way up to a 30. Just so you guys know, the little blinky light device that I showed you earlier only goes to 25. So that's why I don't always use it, because we would have missed out on the 30. Now, the 30 is still above the average of what I normally see out of this location with no electricity. Here's some examples from things around your house. Your TV gives you a 40 to 60 milligauss if you were to set that behind your TV set. We just got almost up to the amount of your TV set. Your microwave goes up to about 150 to 170 when it's heating up your food. So it kind of gives you an idea based on the wattage of your microwave. The highest I've ever seen that device go in my 14 years of ghost hunting has been at this location. It errored out 3 times within 15 minutes and stayed in triple digits the remainder of that time. What does that mean? It went over 200 milligauss. We left. Here's why. I have epilepsy. That is too much electricity in the air for the guy with the neurological disorder, hence why you are my safety director. If that thing goes above triple digits, I'm excited, but I'm going to keep an eye on it and ask how you're feeling. Because again, that can cause us headaches if you stand next to your microwave for the entire 10 minutes it's heating up your food, right? So you guys get the point on that. So I am excited about the 30 because the average for this location is about an 18 to 22. And that's like 5 out of 7 nights a week, and that's the kind of spikes that we'll see out of it. We did get the name John and an anagram on the little Ouija board device. Who heard the number 20? That came out of somebody. So we did get the number 20, and then we got the word nod that was spelled out as well. So we had a nod to John. His jersey number was indeed 20. So I'm actually excited about that 3-piece correlation working together. So the numbers 15 and 24 were also heard by you? Is that
24, I heard 24, 15,
so you guys,
24, yeah.
50, oh, that was the both. I know it came out of one of you. I was like, who did it came out of? I don't have a thing for that yet, so it might not mean anything. But names and numbers are facts. They usually don't lie. You guys got a lot of like go to church and pray and that kind of thing. We also have the word Bible on our word list. So again, could be a correlation, a little vague on my end. Let's cover the rest of these answers. Lila got to come in while she was back here. The house was up there, so I'm wondering if she was almost just like inviting her to go capture more things up in the house, because that's where she may have been. So let me show you how this all pieces together.
I was like over there in the corner, like over there.
Oh, so you were actually up in the, so that still would have been like that top right corner for us would have been the carriage house. So the house would still be a little bit more off to the left. Whenever I break out the tablet, I do go around the table so you guys can all see what I'm showing off here. It also helps me remind you of all of the answers. This is Eliza Lucas Pinkney. Maiden name being Lucas. The first wife was Eliza Lamb Pinkney. So you can see where the two Eliza L's can be a little confusing. This wife was 22 years old when she married Charles. He was 45. So very creepy age gap between the two. I don't think we have a couple that's in between that age gap now. Sometimes I gotta put my foot in my mouth. But you can kind of see how that works out when we do get 22 or 45. And they were married in 1744. So Mike actually had the question of what happened to the mansion. This is fire damage. So this is exactly where you're standing, by the way. So this, when we do get the word fire, burning, or blaze, which we did not in real time tonight, we will get 2 or 3 numbers from the date. December 11th of 1861. 12, 11, 61. 18?
I just heard 18.
Okay, so I'll write that one down. I still don't know what that one is. By the way, what's today's date? Does anybody know?
25th.
It's 25th.
25th. Tomorrow is Eliza's birthday. So I'm going to stop and remember like what the dates were. The 27th is actually her wedding anniversary. So we're actually dealing with 2 things this week. So I'm really surprised we didn't get higher spikes than 30. Just hoping that she was going to give us a whole lot more. But by the way, when I hear things like 12, 11, 61, and fire all on the same night, that's how I learn about these things. Everything I'm telling you tonight came from a previous investigation. So it's not like the city of Charleston says, hey, you have to go teach these people about these specific things. What tourist coming here to an empty parking lot? Nobody. Just this weirdo. So, by the way, this is the fire that took out the mansion. This is the map of Charleston. It literally went from one side of the peninsula all the way to the other. This is about $9 million worth of damage back then. So we don't even know what that equates to now because inflation changed again yesterday. Because we're in those kind of times. Let's see. The children. I did not give you guys any questions about the children on purpose because I don't hand those questions to strangers because you guys may unintentionally make Eliza a little angry. So let's show you what I'm looking for when I get to the office. 4 kids, grand total. Charles, you already know about. We did get the name Charles, didn't we? So Charles, signer of the Constitution. Next child, Thomas. Fought in a Revolutionary War battle, shot in his left leg after being captured by the British. You can see the very specific clues that will show up around Thomas. We got none of those tonight. He was left on a cane and a limp for the rest of his days. The next child is where things get weird for somebody. Baby George. You can already see where this one's going.
Or like, I just heard last class or something like that.
You heard what?
Like Important or so.
Important. George was important. June of 1747. He was born and passed. He didn't make it. His death certificate only says June of 1747 in both the birth and death columns. We do not have dates of either of those. I have a guesstimate. You wouldn't name a child back then until they were christened or baptized. And that takes at least 2 weeks if they know that the child is ill from birth. I'm going to guess that George was about 2 weeks old, roughly, when he passed. The other odd thing about George, he does not have a headstone or a grave. I have another theory. The church may have allowed the family to mummify him and keep him in a tomb right here in the home, waiting for mom to pass away so he could be buried with her. It's kind of creepy and endearing all at the same time, depending on how you look at it. So, it's going to get more weird when I tell you about Eliza's death, but there is one more child. Her name's Harriet. I don't talk about her much because we don't hear from her much. She marries Daniel Ory. If you're not familiar with our coast, Ory County is Myrtle Beach. That's 2.5 hours north of here. It wouldn't have been a 2.5 hour car ride for Eliza. Lots of letter writing instead. When we do hear from Harriet, quill, ink, paper, published, things like that dealing with letter writing. Let's move on to Eliza's death. Last bit. She was 70 years old when she passed away. First off, that's a long time for a woman to be alive back then. She was going to Philadelphia getting treatments for whatever they thought she had. It turned out to be breast cancer. We didn't know what that was in 1793, the year that she passed away. We're going based off of her medical records. She died in Philly. She's buried in Philly. This should raise 2 questions in the back of everybody's brain. First one, baby George. My theory's true. We're taking his tomb from here and moving it all the way to Philadelphia by horse and carriage. That's a long trek. You guys all look old enough to remember the game Oregon Trail. Somebody's going to die of dysentery on that trip because it's going to be at least 3 weeks long. The other weird thing is that Eliza is buried in Philadelphia. So what the heck are we doing here in the middle of an empty parking lot? I don't take you to cemeteries because it is minimal activity at best. Regardless of whatever they're showing you on TV shows and YouTube, there are ghosts coming in and out of there, and obviously I like to build a relationship with these people so that way I can learn more about them. And none of you are going to hang out near your headstone when you're gone. You're going to go to your mansions 400 miles away. This is where the raised emotion is. She raised her family here, learned about her indigo, and fell in love here. This is where she's going to continue to visit. So, let's see. Who wants to take a guess who the president was that was the pallbearer at the funeral? It was Washington. How'd you know that? Doing dates. So 1793.
She's a history.
She did it by deductive reasoning, and I'm actually glad for that. The rest of you passed with a fail. Let me explain. When we got over here, I told you all I'm not going to give you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse. I do that on purpose every single night. The reason why is because I put George Washington in the back of your brains to see who's going to give it back to me during the round robin. Nobody did that, but in the event that Lila said, I think it was George Washington, even though I didn't hear it, I'm going to take her spirit box and give it to somebody else that she came with, because I don't want her repeating all the same things I've already said. Does that make sense? So good on you for doing it by deductive reasoning, Dan. I appreciate that. Again, passing with a fail with me is a good thing. But again, Washington's own request, he wanted to be a pallbearer for her, just because of her indigo. It helped get her country started. It was a big deal. Let's see. Bleed over. We could have gotten things from Big John over here, which we proved that we did. And we could have had Pinckney Mansion stuff over there, close enough in proximity, even though the 2 ghosts are from 2 different centuries. We see it all the time. Where we're going, I'm relying on that bleed over. We're going into an alley where other tours might be. We don't have access to the full alley. So when we get in there, I'm going to go in there and stir shit up, and we're going to leave. We're going to go across the street, and I will give you another piece of history, and all of you communication devices will be getting things from both locations at that stop and along the way from here to there. Along the way, we're going to turn your sensitivity down just a hair, so we'll go back this way. EMF readings along the way, Danny, ignore them. The crosswalks and parking meters make your device go off. Ghosts are not following us. When we get into the alley, start at an 8. So there's going to have to be some lampposts near us. They give off a little bit of electricity. Spirit box communication devices, and yes, Mike, you will unmute along the way. People are just going to look at you weird because we're going to be cutting through the market. Bless you. When we get into the alleyway, we'll stop, and you guys will tell me all the things you heard on your spirit box, so I can write them all down at the same time. Cameras, we will not record until we get into the alley. So when we do get in there, you guys are like perfect. The nice belly shot, because other tours might be in there and they're still going to be staring at us anyway. They didn't pay to get filmed. Just kind of keep that in mind. But when we hit that brick road making a left, just hit that start button and keep it running for the entire time that we are in there. So, questions, comments, concerns. Nobody's following us as far as ghosts, just in case anybody was wondering that again. So, Lila, continue listening. You got this. We're actually going to go up this way. Danny's trying to lead the way this way. All right, let's go learn about killing people. We got this. And you can just grab that by the top handle and carry it like a purse.
Do you want me to turn it off now?
Oh yeah, we don't need to. So if anything, so if anybody even does walk by, you don't have to do anything. We'll just blame them in. So that she's filming strangers. So She's like, so welcome to Dueler's Alley, everybody. This was actually a location I was going to be taking out of my routes because every ghost tour comes here. It's very warm down here, especially in the summer. It's going to be about 25 degrees warmer come another 2 months, just so you know. Then in July, it gets really hot down here. But anyway, I was going to take it out because it's kind of a big old cliche, but again, this guy follows me around a little bit because we do get near all of his hot spots, all of his emotional rays, right? So let's talk about why we're here. You kind of already knew about this story, I'm guessing. So this used to be called Dueler's Alley. This is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. I say some because dueling was illegal and they had to find hiding spots. This just happened to be one of them. We're all telling the same story. I'm giving you a few extra details because you're ghost hunting. You're not on the campfire and marshmallow kind of ghost tour like they are over there. Did I say that out loud? I sure did. Anyway, a doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. So Tana, with your device, I actually bought that device for this location because we were getting the letters RI, Rhode Island, all the time on a regular spirit box like Lila's. So I bought yours to make sure that it was significant, and we've had it. As far as the spirit boxes, if you guys are listening while we're here and you hear the song Brown Eyed Girl, it's part of the doctor's name, Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. So it's not coincidence, we get it here all the time. Anyway, Doc moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. So she has an attorney handling all of this cash flow for her, and the attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money. So he tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor. So he moves here to Charleston to prove that he's not. He's going to start his medical. You heard Brown? See, she's on it. Love it.
She's got it.
I know, right? So on his way into town, he's proving that he's not after Amanda's cash. But he has a coachman on his way in, and the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to his stay here in Charleston. It's like having a bad Uber driver today, if you really think about it. But anyway, somebody was walking by and seeing what was about to happen. His name was Ralph Isaacs. Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from, R.I. So whenever I bring up Ralph's name is when we've had the R.I. show up. We actually had one last week. It made number 7. So what's funny is she's going to the stop where I normally take my groups, like right in front of that gate, because everybody likes to see what's around the gate, but they're kind of in our way, so I didn't want to interrupt them, so I stopped this early. But anyway, Ralph tells the doctor, dude, I know this guy, the coachman. He's going to try to kill you. Come with me. I got friends at 59 Church Street. You can rent a room from them. You'll be safe and good to go. Doc took him up on the offer. The two gents became friends. The longer the doctor stays here in Charleston, the more money he's making. He's proving his point. He's not after Amanda's money. Did you get it? Heart. Maybe lose train of my thought. Where the heck we were. He's making more money, and Amanda gets wind of this. So she's moving down here so that way they can be married. Dr. Ladd then became known as the Whistling Doctor. This is why I hate this story. It's a giant cliche. Every haunted city you will ever visit in your entire life will have a cliched whistling ghost. Ours just happens to be a doctor. Moving forward, Dr. Ladd and Ralph go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the hierarchy of Charleston. So they go see Richard III one night, and they are arguing on their way home about the actress that they just saw that was new to town. Neither one of them had seen her before, and Dr. Ladd thought she was fantastic. Well, Ralph didn't. Then he starts insulting the doctor's fiancée back home in Rhode Island, and it got really nasty, and they went their separate ways. Ralph has friends around town, like I said before, so he goes to his friends at the newspaper, and he tells, we're going to let these folks pass through. Letter A. Places an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston with key things from Dr. Ladd. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society kind of thing. Doc rebutted with, let's go to Dueler's Alley, we're going to settle this once and for all. Somebody's going to die. Keep in mind, this argument started over an actress. Just like to point that out because it was really dumb. We are in the 1780s at this point. So anyway, the two gentlemen came down here. They went back to back, took their 10 paces away from each other. They turned. The doc points his gun in the air and shoots his one shot in the air. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage to show up. Ralph has his one bullet. He puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. Doc didn't die, but he fell to the ground. His friends picked him up, took him home to 59 Church Street. He dies 10 days later, November 2nd of 1786, after refusing medical treatment. I'm going to point out two things. It is 1786, and gunshot wounds are a lot different back then than what we know of them now. Secondly, he's a doctor. Probably just thought he had lead poisoning and tried to bleed it out himself, but obviously he failed. He died. Now,
At the beginning, I heard like take one or something.
take one. I like when we get the word like 10 or pace because they take 10 paces away from each other. Every ghost tour that comes down here tells the guests to listen for the whistles. We have 2 cameras plus my voice recorder running right now. If we're going to capture a disembodied whistle, it's more than likely going to come up on one of those 3 devices. By the way, it is usually this quiet even on a busy Saturday afternoon. So again, it's kind of a creepy thing.
For like a woman's voice, I heard
Probably not a term they would use back then. Now, I will tell you that I have caught several times on the regular spirit boxes that we're recording with the whistling part of a song and then the word doctor immediately after. So it's happened dozens of times. It's part of the reason why I haven't taken this out of my route yet. Now, if you're going to try this on your own and use your voice recorders from your phone and walk all the way through here trying to capture those whistles, just remember that every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street, we all throw a whistle down this alley whenever we walk by it because that's what we do here in Charleston. And I do it ever since I've been thrown out of here. Let's talk about that, because that's the fun part of the story. This alley didn't go all the way through the way we came in. There used to be a wall up there before it became Dueler's Alley. The reason why is because it was called Cow Alley. This is where they kept the livestock for the city of Charleston. So what does that mean for you? That means that the bricks on the other side are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint in one of those bricks from a slave child and fingerprint swipes in others. I used to take my groups all the way through for a history lesson because you guys already know how I feel about cemeteries. That kid is not staring at that brick in the afterlife. It was a history lesson, nothing paranormal. We all need to see how far we've come from slavery. So November 26, 2020, I took my entire group all the way through and they all huddled around that one brick with the handprint in it, waiting for something to happen. I'm trying to shoo them along. I know nothing's going to happen, and we're also standing outside the dining room window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. So that new owner of that mansion came out screaming. I was just trying to be respectful and trying to move us along quickly. However, I didn't realize that we were out of bounds for tours. I was still new at this. So he came out screaming. My daughter, who was about Lila's age at the time, thought it was hysterical because her father was getting yelled at. So we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't tour on Thanksgiving because I used to work in upper management for Walmart. You all like to fight over towels on Thanksgiving. You scarred me for life. I'm never working on Thanksgiving another day ever. So the next day was the 28th. The dates are relevant. I called my partner that brought me into tourism and I told him what happened with the neighbor down the road and he laughed at me. He's just like my daughter did, by the way, just as hysterical. And he says, you're only allowed to go down halfway, dude. Other than that, it's residential. You got to reroute your group. What I told my group that night, because it's Black Friday, I'm sold out again. I don't believe in the next story because I'm into vampires, not pirates. Obviously, we're discussing pirates next. And before we left, somebody with a spirit box heard the name Anne. I didn't tell them which pirate we were going to be going to dive into. The female pirate, Anne Bonny. So I was like, okay, maybe we'll get something. I took them around the corner, told them what I knew about pirates in Charleston, which wasn't much because I only had a quick day to research. And somebody else heard the number 300. I don't know what it means. I write it down. We were there November 28th of 2020, Anne Bonny's trial for piracy. November 28th of 1720. The exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. So I normally get a lot of like head nods and like, wow, that's pretty cool stuff. I was actually quite ticked off because I have a master's degree in creative writing. Everything I do has to be factual. Pirate stories come from pirate lore, which was written 100 years after the golden age of piracy. That's a problem for me. That means when you guys find something, I have to read a ton of books to verify it. Luckily for you, by this time, I've already read all of the ton of books on piracy. So we're at a good point. So when we get over there, it's a 50-50 shot if she'll be there at the same time we are. I'll explain why once we get there, but we'll also be expecting to bleed over from, obviously, Dr. Ladd. So a lot of times you guys forget about some of the details about Dr. Ladd, which is even better, because if you forget things and you hear something, and I'm like, oh, that's because of this with the doc. So you guys will see once we get over there. I will speed through that story as quickly as possible so we can all get back to work. What do we have going on with our devices before we leave here and go talk about pirates? You're all doubled up on nothing on that end, and the word tiny. Who's tiny? Yeah, a whole lot of nothing on your end, and you're still at double zeros. Any words being spelled out for us? And did you hear anything, or were you focused on me?
Not yet.
Okay, you were on mute. Lydia, did you hear anything else?
Now turn.
Now turn. He usually likes to give us direction when we enter the space. He'll say left or things like now turn, which is odd. All right, so cameras, if you want to leave them on until we get up and around the corner, you can, just because we are just going around the corner. Otherwise, if you want to give your hands a break, you can stop them either way. All right, let's go learn about crazy rated R pirates. Nobody got my dad joke. I heard one little chuckle. I got to take it a step further. So if the letter R is not a pirate's favorite letter, what is it?
The C.
It must be the C. Good job, Anahita. I appreciate it. Too many times I get, aye! I'm like, that's bad. And it gets hot down here, doesn't it?
Yes. I didn't think it was going to be that that bad. Now I'm covered in sweat. I did. Stand.
When we came out, I'm
There's
sorry,
two.
I got hum,
Yeah, stand.
and then I've got
it's like
loves,
right next to
but it's
it.
a scramble, L-O-V-E-S.
Said home before that?
Hum, H-U-M,
Okay.
and then I got loves, L-O-V-E-S. But it's a scramble like jar.
Bell? Okay. Okay. Maybe we're gonna get you listening to me at this location. So just so you know, where's Susan go?
She's smoking a cigarette.
Okay. Oh, so there's a smoker in every group. Okay. I'm a vapor too. So, what's funny is that she's smoking here because we are going to be discussing pirates, and when we separate, I said if you brought a bottle of rum and you're a smoker, have at it. You'll probably attract her closer to you. So I usually say break out the tobacco and rum. So, it's a thing. There's a reason why my vape is flavored Cuban, so I can actually smoke while we're here. This location, a lot of tour groups come through here, but they don't always discuss the same things that we are. So we're going to be discussing that little tiny building up there with the crosses on it. Those are not crosses on that building, in case you were wondering. They are earthquake bolts. If you don't know what that is, it's a turnbuckle. It goes all the way through to the other side. It looks just like that. And if we have another earthquake, like what we did in 1886, you tighten the turnbuckles. It's supposed to tighten the building so it doesn't incur any further damage. It's a great idea, isn't it? But it just doesn't work. The only reason I bring them up is because you guys have seen them all over town in the form of lion heads and pineapples. Even this apartment building has them on every single floor. It's just part of our Charleston charm. The reason I point out the crosses, because it's part of the reason why we're here. That's the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston ever put in. The reason why is that's the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. This building was being constructed at the same time that Anne Bonny was coming here to start her new life. This is what I call a familiar. For those of you that watch the YouTubers and the TV shows, you might have seen the new device that came out last year called the Boo Buddy. It is a teddy bear with the little blinky light device in it that if a child ghost comes near it, the lights go off and the teddy bear says, "Ooh, that tickles," like the old Teddy Ruxpin bears, right? Yeah, kind of a creepy thought. But they do that and they use it so that way the child will recognize the bear as a toy. I want you to think of that concept with this building. We don't have many buildings this old, but it is from Anne's time era. So we're hoping that she's going to be here at the same time we are. Otherwise, we're going to be relying on the bleed over from Dr. Ladd. So anyway, the building took 10 years to build. Adults in the room, does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. You guys got the point. That was a joke. You're supposed to laugh, Mike. Good job. Now, our history begins right in the middle of its construction. So I will speed through this except for some of the twists. I will slow down on the piratey twist because we are talking about a badass female pirate. So 1708, a young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormac. She came here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Are you guys with me so far? That little small twist, good. The three of them are running away from her father's angry wife. How mad was the wife that she kicked them out of the damn country? So Mike, be nice to her. She might kick it all out to Canada. It's usually the only joke I have because he's the only guy here. But anyway, so let's kind of get through this. So they moved here. They landed in Georgetown. Dad bought a plantation. Mom died pretty quickly. That means Dad is now sending young Anne down here to Charlestown to sell things from the plantation to help keep things afloat, hence the familiar building. Now, Anne back home in Ireland was said to be a badass even when she was a little girl, 7, 8, 9 years old. They say she killed a servant with a knife to the belly. I just like to give you the mentality of this young lady as we kind of move through her history. 13, the building's done. By 1715, pirates were starting to come through Charlestown. Anne is stoked. Reason why? She's going to fall in love with one of these pirates so she can earn her freedom, just like a man. It's a man's world during these times. First guy she fell in love with. I said first slowly because there's a handful. We're going to cover them all. That's what makes the story so interesting. First guy is James Bonny. You already see where this one's going. I've told you her pirate name already. Dad didn't approve. He's a filthy pirate. They ran away to Jamaica. They got married. Anne Cormac became Anne Bonny. That's where her pirate name came from. Now, when she gets down there, she's married, she realizes her new husband is not the Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. This guy turns out to be a privateer. That makes him a spy for the British and a coward. This is not who she wanted. She fell in love again. Guy number 2. I'll keep track for you. Guy number 2 is John Rackham, but everybody calls him Calico Jack. This is the guy they based your Johnny Depp character off of, in case you were wondering. He is a real person. Calico Jack has his own ship, he has his own crew. Anne wants to be part of that pirate crew. You can't put a female on a pirate ship. Does anybody know why? Family friendly, Mike. We got a 13-year-old girl here.
She get passed around.
It's bad luck, guys. Keep it simple. You're overthinking it. The reason why I asked that question out loud, just to make sure, A, you're paying attention, and I like to see the little bit of awkwardness, like I'm not answering that question. So anyway, it is bad luck, so he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and look like my crew, you could be part of the crew. She's okay with this. Reason why, Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to hide her from his wife. She gets it. It's a man's world. But we're all manly adults here. Let's put 2 and 2 together. She has a female in Jack's quarters. She's eventually going to get pregnant, and you can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl, and they'll vote Jack off as captain. So Jack drops her off in Cuba. Have the baby here with these friends of mine, come back later, we'll figure it out when you get back. She goes and has that baby, returns without a baby. We have no idea what happened to the child. None of my research has ever discovered it. She also comes back dressed as a female. This makes Jack pretty angry. Now he's going to know he let a girl on the ship. To make Jack even more mad, she's going to go flirting with the pirate crew he just captured. They're down below deck. Guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females dressed like male pirates on the same ship. Her name, Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Anne and Mary became friends, maybe lovers, we're not really sure because of the time era. But the British find out where they are. They send a fleet of ships, take down 1 pirate ship. Rumor is Anne and Mary were the only 2 pirates that were not drunk enough to come up with 1 bullet flintlocks to try to fight off this fleet of ships. Obviously, 2 ladies with 1 bullet guns cannot take on the cannons. They get arrested. And as they're being arrested, Anne looks at her bow and captain, Jack, says, "I'm sorry to see you here, but if you would have fought like a man, you would be hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up on your communication devices a lot here, by the way. The judge wants to see the 2 quote-unquote men that fought back so valiantly on their own. He's already tried it on Calico Jack and the drunk pirates that wouldn't fight. They're dead and gone. The 2 ladies go in front, reveal the gender, and hoping to save themselves, the judge does not care that they're female. They're still pirates, he's going to hang them anyway. "We plead our bellies," is what they shouted back to the judge, because you cannot hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. He sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging. Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne and brings her home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4. We're going to count Mary because we're not really sure. She has 4 kids, dies at the age of 84. Very abrupt ending because we don't know anything about Anne that's truthful after her pirate career. Mary Reed died 5 months later from whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail. Use your imagination. I'm not going to control this environment like what I did at the Pinckney Mansion for the respect factor. Ask whatever you want, but here's a few things I left out on purpose. I did not tell you the name of Anne Bonny's parents on purpose, so you have something to work with. The name of the ship that she joined with Calico Jack, where she grew up in Ireland, and the color of her hair. Everything else is fair game. Ask whatever you want to here. Again, if you smoke cigarettes and you brought a bottle of rum, have at it. You'll probably attract her closer to you. So again, stay away from the vehicles. But again, if you want to get closer to the building, there is a little wall up there that you can actually sit and listen if you wanted to do that. There's a little ledge where you can sit down. That's where we're going to end up when we're done here anyway. Anything I need to know about before we spread apart? Right, and that's an anomaly by itself anyway, because the Earth gives off an EMF. Where is the natural EMF? You don't have it. The closer you go that way, you have 2 low transformers and parking meters over there. You're going to get like a 4 to a 6, don't get excited. Okay. That should be on the back half. You should be on the home.
Who's with us? Is anybody with us?
switch?
Who's here with us? Doctor here.
This just a Yoho.
What?
It's a Yoho.
Said 1789.
I know that little singing those. It sound like it's a Yoho.
How did you die? Is the doctor here?
What? Got it.
Yes. Who's here with us?
What do you got?
What year did you?
Our 1789.
You got anything else out of there? Gotta quit asking these questions. Actual piercings?
Each other.
Just happened to notice that there was no necklace joint to it.
How we doing, guys?
How are you?
Good. I run this parking lot. If you guys are not paid to park in this lot, you guys can't congregate in the lot.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
The church doesn't want people congregating in the lot.
Okay. Appreciate it.
No problem, guys.
Just heard free something. Out of your guys' place, So in the 4 years that I've been coming here, that's only the second time that somebody's ever sending them to us because every tour comes here. So
What if you pay for a parking spot?
right?
Don't park it nowhere.
And it's always been on a weekend night. The again, I do this 7 nights a week, so about 250 times a year I'm out here. And like twice, this guy wants to tell me something. So anything else coming out of that word list, Miss Susan? Anything I need? No, but his name shows up all the time. You have it spelled out? I don't know who that is. He keeps showing up. Hi, Doug and Doug. I'm sorry, Susan. Do you have anything?
Copy, swim, accuse, stab, technology, Jewish.
I don't know if I like stab and Jewish all in the same conversation. There's a lot going on. Where'd Lila go? What do you got going on here? Okay. Alright, so I wish we weren't sitting on bushes. Let's go ahead and get you guys on mute for just a minute. I'll cover the quick answers since we kind of got rushed out of here. This is really odd. Put you guys away from the big side like what we did at the beginning. I'll kind of show you what happens here. And I always explain the last stop that we're going to because it's going to be a lot different than what we've been doing. We're going to be working together as a group. So what's going to happen is we're going to be doing the Estes method. Is anybody not familiar with what that is? Amanda's like, oh yeah, I know what that is. So here's what's going to happen. So let's see. So seems like Amanda really wants to try this. So we're going to take Amanda and we're going to take Lila and we're going to blindfold them. And I'm going to talk to them as if they're the ghost and they're not going to know the history of the location. So where does that leave you two? So you guys can fight over it. You guys can see how this is going to go for my third person, but you're not going to be blindfolded. You're going to be wearing a virtual reality headset that's going to give you artificial intelligence images that's hopefully going to be relative to the conversation that I'm going to be hearing out of the two young ladies. So again, along our way, you guys can discuss it to see who wants to take part in that, but it'll be the 3 blind mice, and they're not going to know the history. I'll teach everybody else the history about 10 feet away, so that way they don't hear anything. When we come back, we'll watch it all unfold. I keep everybody underneath this whole session for about 10 minutes, and I don't tell the 3 blind mice that piece of history tonight. You're going to have to wait for the audio recording the next morning when I get it back to you. That's kind of the fun part of this. So again, you're not going to be searching for anything specific. You're going to be getting it out of obviously the video the next day. Did you get any readings, by the way, Danny? Because we're over here now. Because of our partners. Okay. So, by the way, you guys were asking me about some of the weird things that have happened to me before. Like, this is a location where I give that heated warning at the top of the night because of this location. So a couple of years ago, month of September, way cooler than what we are right now. I took my group to the back like I always do. And the kid next to me, he starts fainting. He's dropping like a wet noodle. And I say kid, he's like 21 years old. I have to pick this guy up by his armpit so he doesn't hit his head on the ground. His boyfriend picked him up from the other side of him, and we took him over to that wall so he could sit down. I got him some water, and he was okay for me to continue. I told my story of Ann Bonnie and told everybody to spread out because this used to be the last stop. So they all spread out, but the 2 guys stay behind and say, Nick, we have to tell you, we are 2 transgender males. I had 2 females dressed like males, just like Ann and Mary in the story on the tour. It made sense, but it was still completely unexplainable. These are the weird things that I see. So again, take those things for what they are. That heated warning was not a scare tactic. Like, it's a legitimate thing. So same thing with the jail. I'm not taking it there, especially with my gear. Again, we never know what the hell's going to happen. So let's cover the very quick answers for the Ann Bonnie bit, and then we're going to take a walk over to Washington Park, where we're going to do this blindfold experiment and get you guys back to your nice, cool hotel rooms because it is sweating blazes out here. This is crazy. Ann Bonnie, one of the few pictures you can find of this young lady where she actually has a shirt on. The reason why is she used to flash the guy that she just shot to show that they were just shot by a woman. You have to remember she's wearing male pirate clothes. So again, the names of her parents, William Cormack, Mary Brennan. Not another subliminal trick with the name Mary, we just happen to have 2. By the way, Mary Brennan was a servant for the Cormack family. If you wanted to guess how Dad met Mom, you'd be correct. She grew up in County Cork, Ireland. If you ask her what city she grew up in, she will give you the word county. So again, she's correcting you. That's kind of why I do that. We've seen it a lot in the past 2 months, so I decided to make that a regular question. And obviously her hair color is red, not brown. Sometimes she'll tell you auburn, so it just depends on what wants to pop up. Flashing lights are coming from. Calico Jack. Everybody likes to see what they based Johnny Depp off of. Calico Jack was named that because of the jackets that he wore. They came from British captains that he killed. His father was a tailor. He was textiles and clothing. Calico Jack in modern English means fancy jacket. We've seen fancy and jacket show up here dozens and dozens of times when you start asking about Jack. Name of his ship that you guys were searching for on a very short, brief time before we got booted. It's called the Kingston. I don't expect the word Kingston to show up on the red Spirit boxes with the headphones, just because the word King would suffice here. You're not going to hear the word Kingston from a Charleston radio station. Again, it's kind of a what color is the big red barn kind of mentality. So those are all of the answers. Did anybody ask anything different and got a different answer? Nope, going once, twice? Okay. All right, so we're going to be walking up to Washington Park. Along the way, did you guys notice on most of your devices you have a giant QR code on the back of your devices? That is my business card. Danny's looking like, I don't have a QR code. That's my business card. If you guys want all of my contact info, that's email, website, phone number, social media stuff, all of it is on that little QR code. You tap it if you're an Android, you scan it if you're Apple. It's just something for you to do as we're walking the 2.5 blocks. Videos, you guys get the point. Go ahead and stop your video.
Good shout out.
Oh, that's the banana. Maybe not. I don't know.
Still not here.
So when I bought these in bulk, I wanted to make sure I was helping the ladies out. It's not going to go all the way around your head. I'm going to go over your ears instead of button in. Okay? So you're going to literally tell me everything you hear, even the yeses and nos. Just only because you don't know what I'm asking. That's where it's kind of safe to be able to ask this kind of thing. You're literally going to be seeing images like, have you ever done virtual reality before? So this is not going to be like Jurassic Park and dinosaurs eating your face off kind of stuff. Like you're just going to see a galaxy off in the distance. Every once in a while, a picture will show up and look like it's moving because it's generated. Just tell us what the picture looks like in very simple terms. She can't hear you. You may be trying to overtalk her and she doesn't know it. The two ladies bench tree. In the event she's not saying much, I will ask you probing questions. What are the two people wearing? Where's the time arrow? So forth and so on. But you do say kind of tight knit, just so you're ready to like sort about looking around like what the hell's make up to you now. So I only keep you guys under for 10 minutes, so kind of keep that in mind. I'm going to take the phone out of here so I can set it up since you've never done this before. But yeah, go ahead and blindfold first and headphones. Crank up your spirit box loud enough to where you can hear it and not hear me. The whole point is so you don't hear me at all. Let's see. It is 10:42. So Amanda, what color is a blue banana? Okay, good. She can't hear me. Okay, I was asking a silly question to make sure. For those of you with cameras, by all means, get them up and started. Let's see. Henry Timrod. I got two ladies on the bench tonight. I'm sure you can see them already. Dr. Ladd likes to show up during this location too because his house is nearby. So just don't be surprised if we get something because we do have somebody named Amanda under the bench and she probably didn't remember that Dr. Ladd may be coming through here. But, Henry, if you can hear us, I need you to give me something about your occupation, please. Just to kind of verify that you're here. Can you tell us what you do for a living? You might get 0 images, you might get 12, and you never know. So all you're going to do is look straight ahead. It'll align with you, but it may be blurry, so that's your turn dial to focus, okay? Yes, we're waiting on you. Just tell us whatever you hear. Henry? Technically starting now, so we're going to go 10:43. Henry, we're asking you about your occupation, just like we always do. Can you tell us what you do for a living? I know it's pretty crowded in here tonight. You're all the way up earlier than you want. You don't like the crowds. But Henry, if you could tell us what you did for a living, that would be fantastic. You guys, on the other devices, what you do, lighting, anything related to weather lighting? Pencil? Okay, I'll take it. Henry? Can you tell us what you did? Can you give us a little bit more? The minute you see a new image, just let us know. And then we hear something coming out of the church. Can you tell us what's coming out of the church? So bad, because I didn't use my loud button.
Thank you.
Henry, what sound did you just hear out of the church? Ask like real-time questions like that because that answer is literally come up on every device that you can use. Like even spelled out on your own.
It's
Still
a
here.
room,
Yeah.
house,
What kind of room?
like a building, possibly. That's like a podium.
church, maybe a pastor. Maybe a small church. And you guys will be able to see these images before we leave. So, and they also come up in your report. I'm able to upload them all to your report. Dr. Ladd, the young lady that hear you, is named Amanda. If that rings any bells, let me know. If Dr. Ladd also has a code word to let me know he's here, that word is purple. If he says purple, or it shows up on the word list, let me know. That's pink, not purple. Henry, or Dr. Ladd, and hear whatever you want us to hear.
24/7 protection. Oh, that's the point.
Henry. Spit out whatever you're trying to say. Kind of like forest, like a lot of trees, like really great. I'm very interested in this photo. Holy cow! That was a lot. What did you do for a living? Dr. Ladd, you have the word doc that showed up in the other little box that we use. And taking over and with these devices. We don't know. Doc, we need your code word, not the word pink. Yeah. And he did write with them. He didn't write email. Email. Dr. Ladd. Who was Amanda to you? Give us an image, Henry. We'll wrap it up. Well, it could be doctor. Which one is the kneecap? Okay, I'm gonna call him. Just go ahead and tap her on the kneecap. And then, Lydia, go ahead and peel that thing off your face. I know we only had a few images, but we're going to take a look at those. How was your first time in virtual reality?
That was cool.
By the way, don't get up, neither one of you, just because sometimes when you guys are, in the darkness, I don't need paper giraffes falling on the ground. So kind of give you guys a minute to get your bearings straight. Let's see the images. You actually have 4 images grand total. The first one looks like a green purse. Is that relevant to
I did
anybody?
not see that at all.
It may have been developing as I was putting it into the device. I try not to pay attention. So we did get a green backpack style purse, which looks a lot like what you're holding. So very interesting. So, the next image, to me, I'll let you know if this is relevant or not. The next one was the room that she was mentioning. She said there was a podium in there. That almost looks like a classroom to me. Maybe a little too modern for 1860s. You guys are getting my point on the time era on that one. There's a little person in there. I also run these through Google Lens, so in case I miss something, Google Lens will give me time errors depending on what I ask it to, along with the image, so forth and so on. It's actually really cool. I missed a lot of things with some of these images. The next one was the forest. I mean, super easy. It's just a picture of straight tall trees. Yeah, nothing fancy there. We've had this here before. I find no relevance to it whatsoever. So very similar piece. And then the fire, that's all heated fire. That's very bright. So very interesting piece. The only thing I have relevant right now is the green backpack and maybe the classroom, only because Henry Timrod was a school teacher and that's how he met his wife. She was one of his students. That's his problem. So at this point, I got to call the whole scenario unsuccessful. I'm sure you guys can appreciate, those of you that know the history, we didn't have anything coming out of you that was direct other than the word more. I think Lila caught on to more things directly because she did hear the word home twice. It's usually a code word for Henry to tell us to get the hell out of here. He's not wanting to talk tonight. But again, I would say overall, we did pretty decent. We're probably on the lower end of an average night, maybe the higher end of a below average night because I do store all of this. And I don't know what I'm going to find when I get back to the office. So we did have some decent EMF readings at the top of the night. Violet heard things like brown. We did get the word dock on that Ouija board device while we were here. So that's kind of an interesting piece. So by the way, where's the recorder? So you have the recorder. So go ahead, if you have a button next to your volume, click the button in the opposite direction. Unfortunately, that'll be the recording that you guys get back. It won't be what you heard in real time from this. So you're going to have to go off based off of the last 12 minutes from this recording. I'm going to set my bag down so you guys can actually lay your devices down. I'll stop the audio and you guys can ask me more questions, including how to get back to your car in the easy way. So